The last time I spoke to my high school friend, he said, "You're the only person who still talks to me like I matter." I didn't know he was saying goodbye, and now I reread that text every year on his birthday like it's a prayer I didn't answer. It's been 11 years since Luke died. I still have the same phone he used to text me that last message. It doesn't work like a normal phone anymore. I just keep it in a drawer in the basement. I charge it once a year around his birthday. February 9th. I reread that message like it's a prayer I missed. Like it's something I could have stopped if I just paid more attention. "You're the only person who still talks to me like I matter." That text breaks me every time. We met in 7th grade in Rochester, New York. Luke was quiet, a bit weird. Always had his headphones in, always doodling on paper or in that sketchbook he carried everywhere. He was the type of kid the teachers ignored and the other kids mocked when they got bored. I was loud, got in fights, smartass attitude. But I didn't care what people thought, and Luke liked that about me. We became friends over time. Real friends. Not the kind who just sit next to each other at lunch. I mean, we hung out after school, shared stuff, had each other's backs when things got rough. And things got real rough for him. Luke's dad was the kind of man who shouldn't have been allowed to raise a dog, let alone a son. He was drunk almost every time I saw him. Not the funny kind of drunk either. Angry, loud, mean. The kind of man who breaks stuff just to show he's in control. Luke would laugh it off, say, "He's just pissed again." Like it was normal. Like getting shoved into a wall was just another Tuesday night. His mom had left years earlier. Never came back. Luke never talked about her. Not once. Even with all that going on, Luke never wanted pity. He was loyal, funny in a weird, quiet way, and he could draw better than anyone I've ever met. I still have one of his old sketches, a portrait he did of me as a joke. He gave me a crooked eye and a cigarette hanging out of my mouth. Said it looked realistic. I laughed, but I kept it. Still have it framed in the garage. We stayed close through high school and after. I went to SUNY Brockport. He stayed in Rochester, working at a local hardware store. Didn't have big dreams. Said all he wanted was peace. That word stuck with me. He said it all the time. Things got darker after we turned 23. Luke stopped laughing. He drank more. Didn't answer texts as often. He missed our Friday nights sometimes. When he did show up, he wasn't really there. Just sat on my couch, stared at the screen, didn't say much. I asked if he was okay. He always said, "Yeah, just tired." I should have known. One night, late February 2014, he texted me. I still remember every word. "You're the only person who still talks to me like I matter." It was 1:17 a.m. I was asleep. I saw the message around 6:30 when I woke up. I remember staring at it, thinking I'll call him after work. I didn't want to be late. But by the time I called, it was over. Luke's neighbor found him in his dad's garage around 7:30 that morning. The car engine was running. Windows taped up. He was gone. No second chance. No goodbye. There was a note, but I wasn't allowed to see it. His dad said it was private. Just family stuff. He looked real broken up at the funeral. Cried hard. Said Luke had always been a difficult boy. Said he wished he could have done more. I wanted to punch him in the face, but I didn't. I just stood there and nodded like the rest of them. Then a few months passed. I was trying to move on, trying to keep my head down. I had started dating someone, my now wife. Got a promotion at work. Things were picking up again. And then the calls started. Blocked number. First, just silence. I thought it was a prank. Then one night, someone whispered, "He told you." Next time, they added, "You didn't help." I felt my stomach twist into a knot. I changed my number. Still got calls. Then came the mail. No return address. Just envelopes with photos. Pictures of Luke's garage. One had his old sketchbook open to a drawing I had never seen before, his dad standing over him, a belt in hand. One envelope had a photo of me. Someone had drawn red XS over my face. It wasn't a prank. I was being watched. Couldn't sleep. I stopped going out. My girlfriend almost left me. I didn't tell her what was going on. Couldn't. I was ashamed. But one day I drove back to Rochester. I went to that hardware store where Luke used to work. The owner, a guy named Russ, remembered me. Said he still thought about Luke. Then he looked at me real serious and said, "He didn't kill himself. You know that, right?" I asked him what he meant. And that's when he told me something that made my blood run cold. Russ looked around like he was scared someone might be listening. We were just standing in the stockroom behind the register, but he still lowered his voice. He said, "Luke told me something a few weeks before he died. Something that didn't sit right." I waited. My hands were shaking. He said his dad was going to fix things. Said he was tired of being a problem. Said his dad had a plan that would finally shut everyone up. I thought it was just more of his usual dark talk. But now? I don't know. I asked him if he told anyone. He said no. Said he figured it wasn't his place. Then he pulled something out of an old locker in the back. An envelope. "He gave me this," Russ said. "Told me to mail it to you if anything ever happened to him. But I forgot. I didn't think I'd ever need to." I opened it right there. Inside was a letter from Luke, written in shaky handwriting. It wasn't long, just a page and a half. But what it said, it changed everything. He wrote that he was scared, that he thought his dad was going to hurt him for real this time, that there was a plan to make it look like suicide. He didn't want to die, he said, but he was tired of fighting, tired of living with someone who treated him like trash. The last line read, "If something happens to me, it wasn't just me. My dad helped. He wanted it quiet." I felt like I couldn't breathe. Luke hadn't killed himself. Not fully. His father helped push him there, maybe even did worse. I drove straight to the Rochester PD, brought the letter, the photos, everything. The guy at the desk didn't even look at me right. Said the case was closed. Said unless I had proof of a crime, there was nothing they could do. I asked if I could reopen the case. He shrugged. Told me, "Not your call. You're not family." I left shaking with rage. So I started digging on my own. I called people Luke used to know, neighbors, old teachers, even a girl he dated in high school. And every single person said the same thing. Luke's dad was a monster. Everyone knew. No one did a damn thing. But then I found someone who knew more. Her name was Amanda. She lived 3 houses down from Luke. Older woman. Said she used to hear yelling every night. But the night Luke died, she heard something else. A scream, she told me. A man's scream. Then nothing. Silence. Like someone turned off the world. She reported it back then. She swore she did. But when I asked the police about it, they said they had no record. I started to understand. Luke's dad had friends on the force. Probably drank with them. Maybe even paid someone off. Or maybe they just didn't care. So I changed my plan. If the police wouldn't open the case, I'd bring it to the public. I started collecting everything. Letters, photos, audio recordings I secretly made talking to people. I started writing it all out. Organized. Clean. I created a blog. Anonymous. Just called it Justice for Luke. It didn't go viral. Not at first. But some people found it. Former classmates. People from Rochester who remembered the weird funeral, the closed casket, the way his dad suddenly sold the house 2 months after Luke died and moved to North Carolina. People started sharing their stories. Not just about Luke, but other kids who grew up on that block. Other things his dad had done. Then one night, I got a message through the blog. No name. Just an email with a photo attached. It was a picture of Luke's dad. In a strip club. With a cop. The message just said, "Look closer." And that's when things got dangerous. I stared at the photo for an hour. It was definitely him, Luke's dad. Sitting at a corner table in a dingy strip club. Grinning like the devil. But what shook me wasn't just that he was there. It was who he was sitting with. Detective Paul Gleason. I recognized him from the day I filed that complaint at the Rochester PD. Same guy who told me the case was closed. Same guy who brushed me off like I was wasting his time. I dug deeper. Turns out Gleason and Luke's dad went way back. High school buddies. They were both from Rochester, both played football. Gleason joined the force right after graduation. Luke's dad did a stint in the Army, then came back and worked odd jobs. Security mostly. They'd been close for years. Photos popped up on Facebook from old 4th of July parties. Fishing trips. Always smiling, always drunk. Now it made sense. That's why the case went nowhere. That's why the report from Amanda, the neighbor, disappeared. Gleason had buried it. Protected his old buddy. I started leaking parts of the story to local papers under a fake name. Anonymous tipster close to the family. I made sure to mention the connection between Luke's father and Detective Gleason. I included the photo. I waited. And then it exploded. The Rochester Weekly published it. Front page, big headline, old ties, dead son, and a cop's silence. People started talking. Old classmates reached out to me through the blog. Some said they always thought Luke's death didn't sit right. Others said they saw bruises on him at school, but were told to mind their business. It all added up. Years of quiet abuse. And the final push, covered up by a dirty cop. A few nights later, I got another email. No message, just a video. It looked like it was filmed in secret. Maybe a phone camera hidden somewhere. The quality was grainy, but I could hear the voices. Luke's dad and Gleason, arguing. You said it'd go away. Luke's dad shouted. You told me it was handled. Gleason replied, voice low, angry. I can't cover you forever. You should have burned that damn notebook. Why the hell would you let him keep that? You said suicide would close the door. You idiot, he left signs. That sketchbook, the letter. I can't keep cleaning up your mess. I must have watched that video 20 times. This wasn't just some suspicion anymore. This was proof. Problem was, I couldn't go to the police with it. Not yet. Gleason was still on the inside. Still powerful. So I made another move. I sent the video to a private investigator I'd been speaking with online. Her name was Tanya Ruiz. She used to be NYPD until she blew the whistle on a corruption case and got blacklisted. Now she ran a private agency out of Buffalo. She had contacts in the media, in law, even a few friends still on the force who hated dirty cops. Tanya didn't hesitate. She told me to sit tight. Told me she was going to take it to someone higher up. Someone outside of Rochester. But that same night, someone broke into my house. Nothing was stolen. Just my old phone, the one with Luke's last text on it, and the hard copies of everything I'd printed for the blog. I knew it was them. Either Luke's dad, Gleason, or both. They were scared now. And they had every reason to be. Because I wasn't stopping. Not now. I sat in my dark living room staring at the empty drawer where my phone used to be. The same phone that held Luke's last message. It was gone. I felt like I'd lost him all over again. But they made a mistake. They thought that was my only copy. Tanya had backups. Digital files. The video. The letters. The emails. All of it. I'd sent it all to her the week before, just in case something like this happened. She called me the next morning. We're going public, she said. And she meant big. A reporter from the Buffalo Ledger ran the story. She named names. Luke's dad. Gleason. She published quotes from the video. Statements from people I'd interviewed. Even the photos from the garage. The story spread. Fast. A state investigation was launched. Gleason was put on leave. Internal Affairs opened a formal review. That same week, Luke's dad fled his house. Gone. Just vanished. Cops claimed they couldn't find him, but I knew better. He ran because he knew what was coming. 2 weeks later, Tanya sent me a video. Someone had found him. It was shaky, like it was filmed with a phone from a distance. Luke's dad was in a bar in Erie, Pennsylvania. Drunk. Alone. Talking to himself. And then someone walked up behind him and whispered something. He turned, stood up, and the video cut off. That was the last anyone saw of him alive. 3 days later, a body washed up in Lake Erie. No ID, but the fingerprints matched. Broken nose. Broken ribs. He drowned. They called it an accidental fall. I knew better. Everyone did. As for Gleason, he tried to hold on. Claimed he didn't know about the abuse. Said he was just trying to protect a grieving father. But the video crushed him. He was arrested. Official charge, obstruction of justice, tampering with evidence, and misconduct. He got 7 years. He'll probably serve 3. Not enough, but better than nothing. The blog blew up after that. People kept sending in their stories. Other towns. Other names. I stopped writing under a fake name. I signed my real name for the first time. I wanted the world to know. But here's where I tell you what I did wrong. I should have answered that message the night he sent it. I should have driven to his house. I should have called someone, anyone who could have helped him. But I didn't. And that's my part in this. That silence. That delay. That night? I think about it every February 9th. I still charge that old phone. Still read his message. You're the only person who still talks to me like I matter. Now I talk about him every chance I get. Luke didn't get justice in time. But the people who pushed him there, who watched him sink and did nothing, they paid. And I'll carry my part of it always. Because revenge doesn't fix the past. But it can stop the same pain from spreading. Sometimes that's all we get.